at this point, you guys have a couple different choices, right? If I go into an interaction, let's say, come here, how do you say it? Royden? Royden.
Yeah.
Okay, cool, Royden. So let's say I introduce myself to Royden, right? I'm Chris, and you are?
Royden.
Nice to meet you, Royden, right? So he immediately stepped back. You guys probably saw it. He took a step back. He got nervous when I went into his personal space, right? You can also look at tension in his shoulders. You can see it in his face, like his chin is tightened. But I'm looking for tension in his body to see whether or not he's either comfortable or attracted enough to allow me to be in that personal space. If somebody's comfortable around you, they'll allow you to get. I'm going to explain this idea really quick before I get this. So I keep talking about comfort and attraction. Those are the two things that you need in order to kind of move something sexual. So when I say comfortable, she needs to have a certain level of comfort. You want to come here? Really quick? Okay. So, for example, let's say that she's comfortable around me, and what's going to happen is just in the same way that she allowed me to touch her, she's going to stay relaxed. You can see in her shoulders, like she stays relaxed when I touch her. Does that make sense? But if she was uncomfortable, what would some of the things you do if you're uncomfortable? She would pull away. She would try to move out of the way. She'd pull away. Her shoulders would tense up. Does that make sense? Okay, cool. So it's enough. Okay. So but this idea of kind of comfort or attraction, when somebody is attracted to something, it means that they perceive it as being valuable, right? As an example, I like to use my cell phone as an example. I perceive my cell phone as being really valuable, right? Why do I perceive it as being valuable? Well, I perceive it as being valuable because it's expensive. I perceive it as being valuable because it allows me, usually, to finish the presentation. I perceive it as being valuable because it's one of the ways that the people who I care about most are able to get in contact with me. The point is, because I perceive it as being valuable, I never let it get too far from me, right? And the same thing is true about human beings. If you perceive a human being as being valuable, but regardless of the reason, because you think they're beautiful, they're smart, they make you feel good, because you perceive them as being valuable, you'll try to get close to them. If a woman perceives you guys as being valuable, well, they're going to try to get close to you guys. Does this make sense? The same thing, the opposite is true for when someone feels comfortable. So when they're attracted, they try to get close to you. When they're comfortable, they allow you to get close to them. See, he doesn't feel comfortable. You guys can see it again in his body language. Does that make sense? So what we're trying to do, you're always trying to build enough attraction or comfort in order to kind of move things in an intimate way. As we'll talk about a little bit later. But the next step I want you guys to do is basically you guys kind of have a choice here. You can, I walk up, I'm Chris, and you are?
Seth.
Cool, nice to meet you. And I'm judging. Attraction, comfort is going to, how comfortable he is and how attracted he is to me is going to determine whether or not he's going to allow me to get into his personal space. So if he starts to tense up, I'm just going to roll off, right? I'm just going to roll off to the side because I can be, come here. If I'm this distance, does it make you feel comfortable?
Kind of.
No, does it make you feel comfortable? You feel comfortable this distance? Look at my eyes.
No.
Okay. So how about if I was standing like this? Like I'm standing on your side, same distance. I want you to stop turning towards me. If I'm standing this distance, do you feel comfortable?
Yes.
Yeah, because I'm no longer a physical threat. I'm not facing him. I'm no longer a physical threat. But as soon as I turn towards you, it changes the dynamic. Right? So what I want you all to do is after you introduce yourselves, I want you guys to roll off. Then I'm going to show you guys the next option. Does that make sense? Does anybody have any questions? David, do you have any questions?
Yeah, that's good.
Okay, cool. Anyone else have any questions? If you have questions, make sure to speak up. There isn't a bad question here. So I want